Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Trisha, and today on the Aspiring Home Cook, we're going to be making some Goan sausage pulao. If you had to tell me that I would be filming this particular video here in Sydney, I would have never believed you, simply because I always thought that this is one I would have to film when I went back to visit my folks in Mumbai, only because I've never been able to find a really good quality Goan sausage over here. We bought some from a local person that was making and selling them here in Sydney, but they were so disappointing. I swore to never purchase another batch of Goa sausages again. However, in the last few weeks, my husband Ashley and I have actually been doing a little bit of experimenting, and we managed to whip up our very own batch of homemade Goan sausages. Now, while I'm still tweaking that recipe a little, I hope to share that with you very soon too. In the meanwhile, I'm just going to use some of the sausage from that previous experimental batch to make the most beautiful one-pot meal, a Goan sausage pulao. Now, before we move on to the recipe, if you're new here and haven't done so already, please subscribe to my channel. And once you do, don't forget to click that little bell icon so that you get notified every time I upload a new video. So let's head on over to the kitchen and get started. We're going to start by heating a vessel over some medium heat. Into that, we're going to pour about 1 to 1.5 tablespoons or thereabouts of cooking oil. Now, I must add here that if your sausages have a fair amount of fat content, you won't need as much oil. The sausages that I'm using today are fairly lean, which is why I've gone ahead and added a touch more oil than I would. Now we're first going to infuse that oil with some beautiful whole spices. I've got 2 green cardamom pods here, a couple of pieces of cinnamon, about 8 black peppercorns, and 5 cloves. And I'm just going to pop that into the oil, stir that around, and just give it a few seconds to infuse that oil with flavor. Into that oil goes half an onion chopped, and I'm going to add 1 bird's eye chili that I finely chopped. Again, I'm doing this because my sausages are not too spicy, so I felt the need for a little hint of extra spice. If the sausages that you're using are spicy by themselves, you can leave the chili out at this stage. You're going to stir everything up really well and cook it off till the onions have softened. And once the onions have softened, I'm going in with about 1/3 teaspoon of turmeric powder. Stir that through and let that turmeric coat all the other ingredients in the vessel. Now, I'm using 1 large link of Goan pork sausages. These are homemade sausages. I must say this was the first time we made them, and I'm really happy with how they turned out. I need to up the spice and the tang just a tiny bit, but other than that, these are some of the best sausages that I have tasted. I honestly never thought I'd have access to Goa sausages here in Sydney. Alright, you're going to give everything a good stir. Now remember, if your sausages have a slightly higher fat content, you'll have a lot of that fat rendering at this stage. You're going to let these sausages fry off for a couple of minutes. Now, like I said, my sausages are fairly lean here, so I'm just adding a touch more oil. The next time I make these sausages, I'm definitely going to use a slightly fattier cut of pork. Give everything a good stir, and now I'm going to go in with half a tomato that I've chopped. Stir that through and cook it off till the tomato has softened a little. Now, this sausage pulao recipe is like a culmination of my peas pulao and my sausage chili fry all in one. If you haven't seen those videos yet, I'm going to add those videos as a link over here and leave them as a link in the description box below also so that you can check them out. Now, once the tomatoes have softened, I'm going to add my rice. Over here, I've got 2/3 cup of Basmati rice. This has been washed out a few times and then soaked in water at room temperature for about half an hour for best results. I've drained that rice out and I'm adding the rice to the pot now. And you're very gently going to stir that around. I would recommend at this stage trying to use a wooden spoon or a silicone spoon. A metal spoon will break those grains of rice. You're going to stir that rice gently and let that fry off for just about a minute, or till all the rice is coated well with those spices and there is no liquid in the pot. Now, I've added 2/3 cup of rice here. This is sufficient for 2 adult-sized lunch portions, in my opinion. Into the pot, I'm just going to add about, let's say, 1/4 cup of green peas. You can add more peas if you'd like. You can leave them out if you don't want them. These are frozen peas, so I've just added them right here and I'm going to give them a quick stir. Now you can see that the pot is fairly dry. There's no more liquid left in there. So I know I'm ready to go in with my water. Now the ratios are important here. So I use 1 part rice to 2 parts water. Since I use 2/3 of a cup of rice, I'm just going to double that and use 1 1/3 of a cup of water. This water goes in at room temperature. You're going to stir everything very gently and you're going to season this to taste. Remember, the sausages will also have some amount of salt, so add salt in moderation here. You can always taste a little bit of that liquid in the pot to see how seasoned your pulao will be. Once that's all in there, put a lid on and you're just going to let this cook over a medium heat till all that water has been absorbed. Now I'm just going to give you a peek of what it looks like in a couple of minutes. Everything is bubbling in there. You don't want to open this vessel more than you need to. I'm just going to lift the lid a couple of times to show you what it looks like at different stages. But I would strongly recommend leaving that lid on, maybe just look at it as and when you need to. It also helps if you use a glass lid because then you can see what's happening right from the top. Now you can see here that most of that liquid has been absorbed by the rice. There's one way to check and see if that's all done. I gently pull the rice aside with a spoon, and if I find liquid pooling there when I hold the pot at an angle, I know that there's still a little more liquid in there that needs to be absorbed. So I'm going to let it continue cooking just for a little while longer. I can see that the liquid has almost disappeared now. It's all been absorbed by the rice. So I'm going to turn the heat off and take the pot off the heat, but I'm not going to open it just yet. I'm going to leave it to rest for a couple of minutes before I open it up. In a couple of minutes, you'll see that most of that liquid has been absorbed by the rice. Now, I was in a hurry to get things out, which is why I opened it a few minutes sooner than I should have. But if you give it a few minutes to rest, this will be the perfect pot of sausage pulao. And like you can see, once that rice has had time to stand for a little bit, it absorbs whatever remnants of moisture is there and you get nice individual grains of rice, and it's chock full of flavor from those sausages. It's got that nice meaty, smoky flavor going through it with minimal effort. This pulao is a fantastic one-pot meal and is perfect for lunchbox options. This is going with the husband to work for his lunch today. So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's recipe. If you did, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and share it with family and friends that you think will enjoy it. And thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to see you really soon with another delicious recipe. So till then, take care. Bye.